Hey, Bama fans. Nick Saban predicted Alabama's loss to Oklahoma. What? Did he already know? Let's get to the news. Alabama's loss to Oklahoma, a setback that echoed like thunder over Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday night, wasn't a complete surprise to those who follow Nick Saban's always thoughtful and discerning words. Even before the game, the legendary coach, although speaking with the characteristic caution of someone accustomed to seeing beyond the obvious, had already diagnosed his team's Achilles heels. And, unfortunately for Crimson Tide fans, his predictions painfully came true. Saban, in his almost prophetic wisdom, didn't hesitate to point out where Alabama's biggest problem lay: the running game. It wasn't a superficial issue, but a structural one, something that had been dragging on throughout the season and was about to be tested against one of the best defenses in the country. He praised Ty Simpson, the young quarterback who has shown progress and leadership, and highlighted the receiving core as the team's strong point. However, Alabama's ability to run the ball, or rather, the lack thereof, was highlighted by Saban as the major obstacle to the program's success in 2025. What we saw on the field was the materialization of these concerns. Against an aggressive and well-organized Oklahoma defense, Alabama's running game simply collapsed. The average of 2.4 yards per carry was a cruel reflection of a unit that had already been floundering throughout the season. For a program that built its legacy in the trenches, dominating opponents with a deadly combination of physical strength and strategy, this performance is alarming. Where are the explosive runs that used to dismantle defenses? Where's the power to impose its will in the final minutes of games? Cold numbers tell the story. Only 7 carries of more than 20 yards and a single one exceeding 30 yards all season. That's not the signature of a team that carries the DNA of Nick Saban and Alabama football. And here lies the paradox. While the passing attack and receiving core have been a source of hope, with Simpson finding reliable targets and creating opportunities, the running game, traditionally the backbone of Alabama's offensive system, seems to have lost its identity. This isn't just a technical flaw. It's a rupture with the very essence of the program. Alabama has always been known for its ability to adapt to challenges, molding its teams in the image of its unwavering philosophy. But at this moment, there's a disconnect between what the team needs to be and what it actually is. What makes all this even more frustrating is that Alabama isn't a bad team. On the contrary, there's enough talent to compete with any opponent, and the close wins achieved previously have proven that this group knows how to fight to the end. However, against teams like Oklahoma, where margins for error are minimal, the inconsistency of the running game becomes fatal. The Sooners' disciplined and relentless defense knew how to exploit this weakness with surgical precision. And when the clock stopped, it became clear that Alabama had failed to overcome this obstacle. Now, with 2 losses on their record, the scenario is challenging. The Iron Bowl against Auburn is not just another chapter in the fiercest rivalry in college football. It is now a decisive game. For a team that dreams of returning to the top of the college football playoff, there is no more room for error. Kalen DeBoer, the new architect of this project, faces a crucial test. He needs to find solutions to revive the running game, restoring the identity that has always defined Alabama. Perhaps it will be necessary to adjust schemes, give more space to young talents, or even rethink the strategic approach in critical moments. However, it is impossible to ignore the weight of Nick Saban's words. He not only predicted the problem, but also made it clear that he recognizes the gravity of the situation. Saban has always been a central figure in building this dynasty, and even now, far removed from the day-to-day operations of the program, his influence remains. His warnings should serve as a call to action for everyone involved with the team. Alabama cannot afford to continue fighting against itself. It's time to return to its roots, rediscover the strength that has always defined this program. And remember that in the world of college football, adaptation and resilience are as important as talent. As Tide fans look to the future, there's a mixture of concern and hope. Concern because the problems are evident and demand urgent solutions. Hope because, after all, we are talking about Alabama, a program accustomed to bouncing back. The absence of Deshaun Jones in Alabama's game against Oklahoma generated some curiosity among fans and analysts. The nickelback, a key piece in the Crimson Tide's defense in previous games, didn't participate in a single play, even though he was listed as available in the team's final report before the game. However, the explanation provided by Coach Kellen DeBoer shed light on the situation. Jones suffered a significant injury the week before the game against the Sooners, which severely limited his ability to train during the preparations for the duel. Although he was physically present and ready to take the field if necessary, the strategic decision was to preserve him. After all, when a player faces restrictions in his training throughout the week, it can compromise his performance in a high-intensity game. Furthermore, there was another variable at play. Red Morgan, a skilled and reliable backup, was ready to take the position. And that's exactly what happened. Red Morgan had a solid performance, recording 41 snaps at nickelback and contributing 4 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and a forced fumble. These numbers highlight his efficiency and adaptability, especially at a critical time for the Alabama defense. Defensive coordinator Kane Womack also praised Morgan, highlighting his natural qualities, agility, athleticism, and tackling instinct, and emphasizing that he has been evolving into a more complete player. "He's always been a good football player," said Womack, emphasizing that Morgan has unique characteristics that make him valuable to the defensive scheme. It's worth remembering that Deshaun Jones had been an important piece in Alabama's defensive system until then. He accumulated 17 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and a crucial interception that resulted in a touchdown against South Carolina. His experience and game reading were elements that made a difference, especially in close games. However, the fact that he was restricted to training made it clear that his physical condition was not ideal to face an opponent as strong as Oklahoma. The scenario created by Jones' absence also highlights something essential about Alabama's program: its depth in the roster. Even without a regular starter, the team managed to count on another player capable of competently fulfilling the role. This reflects the continuous development work done by the coaches, especially Womack, who seeks to extract the maximum from each athlete at his disposal. Now, looking ahead, the focus is on Jones' return and the consolidation of Morgan as a reliable option. Alabama's next game will be against Eastern Illinois, scheduled for Saturday, November 22nd, at 1 p.m. Central Time at Bryant-Denny Stadium. This game represents not only an opportunity for the team to adjust details before the decisive confrontation against Auburn in the Iron Bowl, but also to reintegrate important pieces like Jones into the tactical scheme. However, it is impossible to ignore the impact that Jones' absence had against Oklahoma. Although Alabama has other talents on its roster, the lack of consistency in key positions like nickelback could be costly in high-level games. It remains to be seen if the team can correct these gaps before it's too late. For a program accustomed to dominating opponents with strength and strategy, this is a question that needs to be answered quickly. I want to see your opinion. Comment.